Today we're going to talk about vision. And the thing with vision is, if you don't have it, you won't really take action. Because vision is just clarity about where you want to be. And if you don't know where you want to be, your actions will always be, they will never be that certain. You will always second guess your actions because you don't really know where you want to be. So you don't really know what are the necessary steps to get to that, right? And that is really what is stopping a lot of people. And I actually believe that that's 9 out of 10 times that's the only reason why people aren't living the lives that they want to live, simply because they never took the time to really understand where they want to be. And this takes time. You can't really build your vision in a couple days or hours. This really takes time. And it will never be complete because you can't micro control life, because at the end of the day it's uncertain. Life is uncertain at the end of the day. But your task is to create as much certainty for your life. Because certainty creates clarity. And clarity leaves you with so much mental energy, because the reason why you're feeling shitty is because you don't have clarity. Your mind is just one chaotic mixture of negative things. And that's stopping you from taking action and creating your dream life. Because to be honest, you don't know what your dream life consists of. And what is stopping people from actually creating a vision and thinking where they want to be? Trauma. And in a sense that trauma leaves you with because like I've already said, right? Trauma is not the experience itself. Trauma is the wound left behind by that experience. So now you're living life with an open wound that is not healed, right? And this wound is mentally. This is within your psyche. So now you experience certain situations which will poke into that wound, but the situation at hand has nothing to do with your emotional feeling right now. It's just that it's poking within a wound that you've never healed. And that will just leave you continuously within emotional turmoil. It will rob you from all your energy. And if you're continuously reliving yesterday, you won't have time to think about tomorrow. And in that sense, trauma blocks you from creating your dream life, because your dream life requires action in the now, which is focused on where you want to be tomorrow. But trauma keeps you in the yesterday. So now you're living the now through the lens that is focused on yesterday. You're continuously reliving situations that deep down, you probably might not be aware of it, but deep down they have nothing to do with the situation at hand, but you're just continuously feeling this stress, right? This stress that you felt back then. And that is really important, because I feel like there are so many people walking around thinking that it's not meant for them to be successful. And today I also posted something about that on Twitter, right? If you want to look at that, I will leave the link in my bio. But it's life becomes dark when you're reliving trauma and you don't know where you want to be in life. Because when you're reliving trauma, that's when addictions come into play, right? You you are escaping pain because something is continuously poking in a wound that you've never healed, right? So you might go to the you might not now go to the store, and this is an example of mine. You might not now go to the store and all of a sudden you're anxious and you can't even describe why you're anxious because you're not really aware of it, but in your body you can feel the distress. But the distress has actually nothing to do with the situation at hand because there is really no danger at that moment. But since you've never allowed yourself to feel the danger of the past that you really felt, or just turmoil, because it's not always danger in a sense that you need to see like somebody get murdered in front of you. No, it's not that. Trauma comes in a lot of forms. We are born with some innate needs that need to be met, and if those innate needs aren't met, we can be traumatized. And those needs are unconditional love from your parents, not needing to work hard for their love, in a way that you don't need to. You can be traumatized if you have the feeling that your parents will only accept you when you only get straight A's, or you only have like certain type, you always need some type of haircut. In that sense, you need to work for the validation for your parents. And if those, that can also traumatize children, right? Which eventually traumatize adults. But that's really important. So it's not necessarily crazy experiences, and that's still a huge misconception about trauma, because people still think that like, and that's why they never allow themselves to really look deep within, because at the surface level you might think, damn, I ain't really seen that much crazy things. So you will never really do research upon why you're feeling the way you feel. So, but to get back to the example that is very prevalent in my life, I might go to the store and feel distressed. All of a sudden I have problem with maintaining eye contact, very anxious, just very anxious. And it has nothing to do basically with the store. It's just like I'm reliving trauma and something triggers it, which will basically be a stick poking into a wound. And 9 out of 10 times the trigger is other people. And that's why you will also isolate when you're reliving trauma, right? Because you will be escaping the pain through addictions. Addictions will only further isolate you. And we almost never really traumatize ourselves. And this is not to point fingers at people, but people are oftentimes, we're social beings, so our traumas are always 9 out of 10 times are also in that sphere, right? In a social situation. So you might walk next to a person and deep down you've never healed the trauma that you felt from your parents, and that might just be the trigger, just being around other people. And all of a sudden you're anxious. And what I've really noticed with myself, like I might start my day with very good goals for the day, right? Tasks, like I'm gonna do this and that, and I'm very excited, and I might be like, damn, let me go to the store real quick, grab some water, and all of a sudden I'm very distressed in the store. And now when I'm come home, I don't have no energy to work up on my goals, because now I'm reliving the past. I'm distressed about what I'm feeling, and you're judging the feelings like, damn, I ain't supposed to feel like this. There's really nothing going on. And that's what will really kill you inside, is because okay, let's say you experience a murder and you're distressed. Now you can actually tell yourself like, damn, I experienced a murder. Like, of course I'm distressed. But when you just go to the store and you're distressed and you don't know why you can't maintain eye contact with people, and you're just internally, you're just very, the words that you tell yourself are very negative, things like that. And you'll be like, why? And that's just really like, because the situation at hand has nothing to do with the pain you're feeling. You're always reliving something. I really believe that in our first stages of life, the tone is really set for how you will experience your life. So if you've been traumatized through the ways that I've mentioned before, right? Doesn't have to be crazy things. But if you're traumatized, it already set the tone for your life, basically, because now you're automatically living with a wound that's unhealed. So only small things need to happen and it might remind you about the wound that you're feeling, right? So that's really important to note. And that will rob you from all your energy. Like I've already said, I've noticed that with myself. For example, when I go outside and I start reliving those things, then my day is automatically ruined because I'm automatically reliving the past. So there's no mental energy for me to focus on now and where I want to be tomorrow. And that's how trauma blocks you from building your vision. And automatically it will stop you from growing. And that's really like, trauma is something crazy because it is really the root of 9 out of 10 of your problems. So yeah, that's really important to note. And it's also like, you always need to keep in mind, like, if you don't know why you're distressed, it's always something from the past. So yeah, just work on focusing on, and this sounds wrong, but if your life is not going the way you want it to be, and you deep down already know the things that you need to be doing, but you don't have the energy to do them, then you really need to focus on the past for a while. And like I've said before, you lack clarity. You also lack clarity about the past. You need to create a story for yourself, like, okay, I went through this. This is the reason why I feel anxious. This is the reason why I can't sleep at night. Things like that. And once you actually put an end to that story, now you can focus on the future. Now will that vision come along. But it won't be done. It can't be done until you gain clarity about the past and actually heal that wound. Because that's really, trauma is basically an unended story that you're just reliving right now. So you need to gain clarity about what happened to you so you can end that story. And then you will have all the focus to focus on your tasks. And I would actually say there will come a point where you can do it simultaneously, because I wouldn't recommend it for you to just focus your entire day on, okay, what happened to me? You need to still write down your tasks that you need to be doing, but just notice when you're distressed, ask yourself, okay, where is this coming from? And if it has nothing to do with the situation at hand, it has something to do with the past, and that's a moment for you to write about it, journal about it, ask yourself, okay, how come that I'm feeling this right now? And that's the way how you will actually make progress. Because a lot of people aren't living their life simply because they're reliving trauma. So you first need to focus on the past for a moment so that you can actually excel faster in the future, in the now. If that makes sense. This just sounds crazy. But yeah, that was basically my video. And I noticed that I still got like a little bit problems with like conveying my message and things like that. And that I also, because that's the thing with these type of topics, it really blend into a lot of things, right? Because when you're talking about trauma, you can automatically go into sleep. You can automatically go into purpose, vision, the things we're talking right now, addictions, and that just makes it a little bit chaotic, because you can talk about trauma and leave out the symptoms of trauma, because those are the things that are really prevalent in people's life. People are never really aware of trauma. They are only aware of the symptoms, like the distress, the addictions, things like that. So that makes it hard. But yeah, just know I will really talk a lot about trauma. And like I've said before, this is not that I don't want to be Mr. Trauma and I'll be like a doctor. I will leave that to the scientists. But I do believe, and I noticed that with myself, that in order to live your dream life, you first need to dissolve yesterday. You still need to dissolve trauma. So that's why we're talking about this. And I will continue to talk about it until we don't need to talk about it anymore, right? But I think that moment won't be close. But in the meanwhile, we will still do all the other things, right? We will still work on our businesses. And yeah, just that, like, so that was my message. Focus on building that vision. If you notice that you can't work on your vision, just know that it's something from your past, if it has nothing to do with the situation at hand. And this is really basically a crazy story, because I talked about vision, but eventually it flipped entirely to trauma. But it's important to know, right, the connection. And I will definitely talk about vision and how you can actually create a vision, but you first need to dissolve yesterday in order to create that vision. This is just crazy what I'm talking about right now, right? Like, it's chaotic, but yeah, that was just my message. I hope you get it, right? So yeah, thank you for watching. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. Check out the links of my socials that I put in the how do you say that, in the bio? Yeah, something like that. I think it's a bio. But yeah, there you can follow my socials. I'm active on TikTok, Twitter. On Twitter, I post like 6 times a day. And on TikTok, I post once a day. It's basically a day of the life. And also, I post my workouts over there. So if you're interested in like athletic workouts, I'm active right there and I'll post them. So yeah, stay grinding, stay improving. I'm out.